All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the March State 4-H Horse Update. We don't have as much information to share with you tonight, but we do have some key things that I think you've been waiting for. So I don't think it will take the full hour. Please put your questions, if you have any, as we go into the chat, and Amy will help monitor the chat for me so that we can get your questions answered if we have answers for them yet. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about stalling and about the second horse show location and the second horse show schedule, and then I've got just a couple other updates for you. So I think you guys, some of you have been waiting for that information about what that second show might look like and where it will be held. So we'll be talking about that tonight. So just a refresher, just if you haven't been able to, I just want to keep plugging that the date has changed. So there'll be two state shows. The first one will be held at Cannon Falls at Simon's Arena. And note the date change. It's extended. So instead of being Friday through Monday like traditionally, it will be Friday through Tuesday so that we can get all of our classes in there with the limited space that we have. And note the date change. We are a week earlier with all of the things with the state fairgrounds closing. We are working with due diligence to make sure that we can offer a quality event at a different location, and we're working with Champ Show and some of those people too who are also using this new facility. So we were adjusting dates and times so that we can make it all work. So that first show, we'll have all of our games, pleasure, equitation, horsemanship, trail training, pretty much all of the live horse classes, except for drill and mini. The second show, location in central Minnesota, which we'll get to in a minute, will be held the weekend of our normal state show weekend of September 13th and 14th, a Saturday and Sunday. What will be held there is hippology, horse judging, speech and demo, miniature horse, and drill team. What's left off of here is horseless horse will be held the second weekend, and horse-related judging, the static projects, will be held that first weekend in Cannon Falls. So what we know, the second show dates, September 13th and Saturday, September 13th and Sunday, will be located at the Stearns County Fairgrounds in Sauk Center. So central Minnesota, hopefully as central as we can get it. That'll be the location that you've been waiting to hear for that second show date. So that's where drill team competition will be held, miniature horse competition will be held for state, as well as hippology judging contest, speech and demo, and horseless horse judging will all be held at that location this year. So just a little bit about what that draft schedule looks like for that second weekend. And I want to just preface that this is a draft schedule. It could shift as we work through this, but I wanted to let you know kind of what it might look like on those days, but it might shift a little, and a final one is yet to be drafted. We would start the morning off on Saturday with horse judging, so teams would check in at 8 a.m. The judging contest would be held from 8:30 to 12:30. Speech and demonstration and horseless horse would be kind of a rotating or a group. So that orientation would be held at 9:30, and somewhere between 12 and 2 you would be judged. So I'm not sure yet if it's going to be sign up when you arrive for a time or sign up ahead of time, so that we'll have time slots so that you'll be able to work that in. But either way, you'll be able to work it in that time slot if you're participating in the other events. Miniature horse show, the check-in will start at 9:30, and the miniature horse show will start at 10:30 that Saturday. So that will continue on. At 12:30, hippology registration will happen. Orientation and coaches will be at 1:30. The hippology contest will run from 2 to 7, and we're hoping that awards for the day will happen at 8:15 that day. So full day. We think we can get it all in and make it all work around people's schedules. Again, just like any of the horse shows, if you're participating in multiple events that day, we will make it work. We will get we'll get that taken care of. There might be some changes on the registration form so that we know if you're doing multiple events that we'll be able to work around those. So that is the rough schedule, draft schedule for Saturday for Sauk Rapids. So that would be your horse judging contest, hippology contest, miniature horse show, speech and demonstration, and horseless horse would happen that day. Sunday draft schedule is drill team all day. Registration would start at 9 a.m. with drill team competition starting at 10, with awards and recognition to follow that. So whatever time that might be. Know that we are also going to be trying to work around schedules for teams as best we can, based on their distance, but I don't have that show schedule figured out exactly yet because I know it'll depend on what teams are registered. So as we figure out a registration deadline, which we don't have yet for drill team, we don't know when that registration deadline will happen. Then we'll be able to figure out a little better of what that actual day looks like. And also, please know and look for your county will probably be receiving ahead of time, like a Google sheet or a Qualtrics spreadsheet, so we can get an idea of how many drill teams are out there in the state right now who potentially are going to come. So if you're working with a drill team, maybe you don't know yet if you're going to tackle state or not. We want to know if you have a drill team. So I'll be sending that out to your local offices sometime in the next month or so, just so we can find out how many teams we're potentially looking at so we can continue on with our planning. Stalling for the second show. I will let you know there will be limited stalling available for that Sauk Center, Stearns County Fairgrounds. We'll be working our best to adjust ride times to allow for travel for farther counties so that we don't have lots of teams needing stalling, but we do have the availability to stall, whether it's Friday, Saturday, or up through Sunday. So just know that it is limited on the number, and we will work with teams, but those teams with farthest distance to travel will have first priority at that stalling that'll be available there. And we will also work with those teams so that the farther away teams won't be on either end, hopefully, of the schedule so that we can work with your ride times and drive times as well. Stalling at Simon's Arena. So Simon's stalls, just to let you know, are indoor in the same building as the indoor arena, but they are 8x8 metal stalls, but they do have mats. They have new mats put in them, but we know that they're a hair smaller than some of the other ones, but that's what we have to work with in that building. WSCA will be setting up their stalls as well for us, which are the same as the ones that are normally in the cattle barn stalls that we use for state horse show when it's at the fairgrounds. They're 10x10 metal, but will most likely be located outside or maybe a few inside and under tents. We're all still working with that with WSCA to figure out where those stalls are going to be exactly, and what that layout and coverage looks like. So know that the differences this year, there are all metal stalls. Some will be 8x8 and some will be 10x10. Yep, we recognize that some of those are smaller, but it is what we have to work with. There are 350 stalls in Simon's in the indoor area, so we'll be working with those to the best of our ability to make sure that we didn't have to cut numbers and be able to house everyone with our normal quotas for counties. Stalling will be assigned by random draw, and counties will be stalled together. So even with the change in this, we are going to do our best to keep counties together like we have in the past, and stalling is going to be assigned by a random draw. Just because we know it's going to be different and we know some are going to be outside, some are inside. Both have their pluses and minuses. So we just felt it's the most fair way to do it will be assigning a random draw for where your counties will be located in their stalling. We're going to do our best in placing the counties together. It's always, and it will especially be, a big puzzle. So even when we work at the state show at the state fairgrounds, it's a giant puzzle to get all of our counties to get there and to get all of the horses housed where we need to get them housed when we're in the normal, but now it feels like an even bigger puzzle with the unknowns or the differences in how our stalling is going to work this year. So while we recognize some of the stalls are smaller this year, We want you to remember that we have adjusted the schedule. So if you are just riding games, you really only need to be there for more of a condensed time. So rather than 3 days of competing, you'll be competing in games for two. So we recognize that, yep, while it's not a great size of a stall, you don't necessarily have to stay the entire show, and you could take your horse out if you're uncomfortable with that size, if you should get drawn for those stalls. So we recognize all of those things. Like we said, we're doing our best to make it work. I talked with WSCA this afternoon. They're in the same boat we are. We're just doing our best to make everything work so that we can both have quality shows. So bear with us in those. Hopefully none of that stuff will be changing, but that's where we're looking at right now with our stalling. Decorations. So we know that some counties have pretty elaborate decorations that they bring to State Horse Show. Decorations, we're really requesting that you limit it this year to your banners and cloths that hang from your stalls. So no props or additional items should be brought this year. You aren't judged positive, you aren't judged down for not having decorations, especially this year. So do your best to do what you can, and note that, like I said, the stalls are metal. Indoors 8x8, outdoor will be 10x10. So bring ways to hang whatever you're going to hang, or modify what you have to hang them. So it might not fit exactly like it has before. And we want to make sure that, because our alleyways are going to be a hair narrower than they are at the state as well, that we keep those clear for safety reasons and getting horses in and out. That just be mindful to limit the decorations that your county plans to bring. We still want you to recognize your kids, the kids' banners, all of that. We still want, if you want your county colors, if you've got material or cloth to hang up, we still want all of that to happen. And around your tax stalls, if you want to enclose those in, we still want that to happen, but just limit the extra amount of work and the extra props that might sit on the floor or sit out in front for this year, so that we can ensure that we have a safe environment for both spectators and horses coming in and out. Shavings. So counties will most likely this year need to order their shavings ahead of the show for all their stalls. The plus is that they will be at your stalls when you arrive. So there's some pluses with that. This will be different and be done through a county order at the beginning. And counties then can determine who pays this at the county level. So maybe your county picks it up, maybe your families all contribute to that, but there will be, or have to pay at the end, but there will be an order form. So if, for example, your county has 3 stalls and you are requesting 3 bales of shavings per stall, you would order 9 ahead of time. Those would all be probably in one of your stalls when you arrive, so you won't have to go purchase them, you won't have to hump them back, they will already be delivered to your stalls. Shavings will continue to be available throughout the show, so don't think you have to order everything you need for the entire show that first time. It should be for your initial bedding to get your horses settled in, is what that county order should be. After that, shavings will still be able to be purchased by the bale. So as you clean your stalls, or you need additional ones, or you feel like you might need one more, they will still be available to be sold. But this is a way that we can help manage and have that part done ahead of time, and manage the location and where we're at to start with. So those stalls will all be numbered. And shavings will be delivered to at least one of your county assigned stalls, so that you can distribute them throughout your people. Food. We're working to secure food trucks that will be available, as well as the concession that is already there, the concession stand that's in the indoor show arena, to provide food options for families. So we are working on that, so there will be more than one food truck available, so that there are options for you to purchase food. We're looking for a variety, so that we make sure that we can hopefully have some breakfast there, that we can have lunch, we can have dinner type things, and a little bit of a variety of food. So there should not be a shortage of opportunities for you to purchase what you need as far as food goes. We're still working on what those options look like exactly, and we'll share those when we know. Questions. And nope, I don't have any information yet for camping. That is still being worked on. I know that would be a question. That'll be coming up hopefully by one of the next webinars, that we'll have some information to share with camping for you. Any questions so far?
Renee, there were a couple in the chat and I answered them, but I'll just read them in case hopefully I didn't answer them wrong. Is there camping available the second weekend at Stearns County? I said yes.
Yes, there is camping available the second weekend.
Okay. And to verify, static projects for horseless horse or skills on Saturday. I said horseless horse skills will be the first weekend at Simon's. The horseless horse is at the second weekend on Saturday.
Correct. Thanks for that clarification. The horseless horse skills, because it's using live horses, will be held at Simon's on that first weekend. The horseless horse static projects will be the second weekend at Sauk Center.
And then
And
there
horse related projects, the static projects, will be judged at Simon's on that first weekend.
Okay. And then there was another question about awards for drill team, when they can be done and the cost of what it will be. And I answered and said that me and you will discuss that and make a decision later.
Yes. Perfect. So that'll be on our list to continue and we'll have that answer for you. Any other questions?
Are the outside shelters have side protection or just a roof?
For the stalls, we're working on that. We are not 100% sure. We'll have that information though, so you'll be aware of what you are coming to. So as we continue to work on that, we're still working on what that looks like exactly. So I don't know that. I don't have that answer yet. And I will let you know if you haven't been on one of these, your questions are awesome because that helps us. I keep a list of things that we still need to work on or figure out, and some of your questions will trigger more questions that we need to work through. So no question is a dumb question. We just might not have all the answers yet.
That is all we have so far.
Perfect. So what we are working on, it came to our attention at the last, I don't know if it was after the last webinar or if it was in conversation after it separately. But it was brought to our attention for miniature horse especially. In the past, we've had our regional competitions where all kids 3rd grade and up could participate in regionals. They just couldn't advance to state. But now without regionals, there is a concern that we don't have an opportunity for our younger kids to show if they don't have miniature classes at their county fair showcase event. So we are working on what opportunities there will be for younger youth to show minis who don't have those local shows. So that question, that's an perfect example of one of those questions that came up and went on our radar. So we are working on that and we'll let you know when we figure those things out. But tentatively, what I'm thinking for miniature horse will be that we will hold a few clinics / shows in a few locations throughout the summer where those younger kids can come participate in a little bit of a clinic followed by a show that where they would be placed with using red, white, and blue ribbons, same as a regular show would be, so that they would have that opportunity to compete and receive feedback from a judge and also be evaluated and earn their ribbons. Drill team, we are working to determine how we'll work with non-competitive teams or teams with younger members. Again, we don't have the qualifier to go to state, so we're working on that to see if there's a possibility or that at least the potential might be that we could arrange for some feedback from a judge for those teams who have younger youth and drill team who are not eligible to compete at the state show permit right now. So we appreciate, again, those questions because that brings up things with our change in the schedule. It's kind of a rolling change. So as one thing changes, one thing that we change might have to change 2 or 3 other things. So we appreciate you bringing those to our attention so that we can make sure those are addressed as best we can. And those of you who are aware of the HPA or Horse Protection Act, I know there was some information shared earlier on our first webinar in January in regards to the Horse Protection Act that was supposed to have gone into effect. I will let you know. Don't panic. I know there was a lot of people worried about what that meant for counties, if there was costs associated and all those. with the inspection. As of March 20th, 2025, the implementation of the Horse Protection Act by the USDA has been postponed until at least February of 2026. So right now, for this year at least, no worries about the HPA and worrying about what that means for county fairs. So I just wanted to let you know that that has been postponed, so we don't have to worry about that on top of anything else, or worry about that for your county shows for this year. Like I said, we appreciate those questions as it helps us not miss anything as we continue to plan. A lot of things are big moving pieces. So while we were hoping to have a full chunk of information regarding stalls a little bit clearer, we don't have those hammered out yet. Between us and WSCA, we are working hard to tackle some of those really big pieces, but there is a lot of moving parts and pieces. So we are working diligently to get those figured out, to get those so that they work for both of our organizations and that they can help us to provide a quality show. So continue to bear with us and we will keep presenting information as we can. And as it gets closer, we'll be able to share more about those bigger pieces that I'm sure you're all waiting for. Camping being one of them, right? And stalling to finalize. That's all I have tonight. If you have other questions, otherwise the next update will be April 23rd from 7 to 8 using the same Zoom link. And again, these recordings are being posted on the State Horse Show website. So if you go to Minnesota 4-H Horse and you click on the state show, all of these links have been, or all of these recordings from these updates have been recorded. They're usually posted within a day or two so that you can go back and review, or you can share with people who weren't able to be on if there's specific information that they need. Any further questions?
Renee, so the minis, so where you talked about you would have a clinic and for the youth, a clinic and then a show for the youth. That clinic and the show is only for kids that don't qualify to go to state, correct? Up through
No.
5th grade?
I think that if we do the clinics and the fun show, I think it would be open to anyone to be able to practice and be able to participate in those. It would provide an opportunity for those younger kids that wouldn't have the opportunity to participate at state, but I don't think we would limit that to just that age group. I think it would be open to all of those age groups to participate in, and they would participate in their age groups for competition at those events. So it still might be your 3rd through 5th graders competing against 3rd through 5th graders at that event, but I don't think we would limit it just to the younger kids, that we would keep that open for anyone who wants additional practice feedback and the opportunity to learn, because we truly want, as well as a competitive event, we want it to be educational as well and give all of the kids an opportunity to learn from those opportunities.
I don't see any more questions.
All right, like I said, I knew this would be a little shorter tonight with as we're still hammering things out. A lot of things are on the cusp of being finalized or we're really close to being finalized, but until we have them locked down, I can't really share them in case things drastically change between us and WSCA as far as who's arranging and making those agreements and figuring those things out. But we will share information with you in the next one as much as we can and continue to keep you updated about things that are happening in the horse project and or state show in the future. So thanks everyone for participating. We appreciate it. My number and email are on the screen now if you're able to see it. So if something comes up or you think about it or you have other questions that you aren't sure about, please feel free to reach out and let me know those. Like I said, that helps us as we're thinking about the state show to be aware of things that might have changed because of anything else as we work with all of these moving pieces in this change for this year. All right, thanks everybody and appreciate your time tonight, and we'll see you next month.